A man named Allen Stanford was one of the wealthiest men in the United States, living a lavish lifestyle thanks to his smooth-talking ways in banking. He could charm anyone with his slick sales pitch, but behind the scenes, things were not as they appeared. Stanford was running one of the biggest Ponzi schemes in American history. For years, he built a fraudulent empire, convincing people to invest their hard-earned money with promises of high returns, but it was all a lie. His house of cards eventually collapsed, costing investors billions of dollars. One night, the news broke. The SEC had shut down Stanford's operations. Kathleen and her husband Louis were shocked. They had invested their retirement savings, $240,000, with Stanford, trusting his promises. In an instant, their money was gone, leaving them devastated. Stanford was like a celebrity in the banking world, with billions of dollars in his empire. He even showed up on TV as a wealthy tycoon. But his success wasn't as clean as it seemed. Behind the scenes, he was deceiving people. Kathleen and Louis, among others, fell for his promises of a worry-free retirement. Kathleen and Louis, like many others, believed in the possibilities he promised. They just wanted a comfortable retirement, free from financial worries. Kathleen, a math teacher from Louisiana, knew the importance of hard work. She came from a poor family and worked her way through college. Wanting a secure future, she and her husband trusted their savings to a local bank advisor, thinking their money would be safe. Their advisor recommended Stanford Investments. They believed it was the best choice. Why not? They had no reason to doubt the charming and confident Allen Stanford. In 2009, Allen Stanford's banking empire collapsed, leaving thousands like Kathleen and Louis without their savings. A US judge labeled Stanford's operation as one of the worst frauds in history, marking the end of his nearly two-decade-long illegal activities. To trace Stanford's rise, we must go back to 1980s Miami, a hub for drug money. The city's lax regulations provided fertile ground for shady financial dealings. Stanford capitalized on this chaotic environment to build his empire, offering seemingly safe investments with higher returns through certificates of deposit, CDs. Stanford's charm and promises attracted investors, aided by slick marketing tactics and well-paid brokers like Charles Hazard. However, questions about the investment's details were met with evasion, signaling something amiss. Despite his facade of generosity and prosperity, Stanford's empire was built on deceit, ultimately collapsing and leaving investors devastated, including Kathleen and Louis. To keep his scheme alive, Stanford needed a major bank to move funds globally. He found this in Toronto Dominion Bank, TD, which provided legitimacy and the ability to handle large transactions. Despite warnings, TD banked Stanford for nearly 2 decades, enabling him to transfer billions of dollars from clients in the US and South America to his controlled accounts. Stanford's smooth-talking charm and the facade of a legitimate banking empire masked one of the most significant financial frauds in history. He exploited loose regulations, bribed officials, and used trusted banks to carry out his scheme, ultimately leaving thousands of investors, like Kathleen, devastated when the truth came to light. Stanford's relationship with TD was lucrative for both parties. In the last year alone, almost $3 billion flowed through TD's correspondent account with Stanford. This influx of money increased TD's corporate banking revenues significantly. With the money he siphoned, Stanford led an extravagant lifestyle. He owned private jets, huge yachts, luxurious homes, and even a helicopter with his name on it. He was the king of the hill, maintaining a carefully managed reputation as a legitimate banker and philanthropist. Stanford's downfall came in 2009 when US federal officials shut down his offices and charged him with fraud. Despite his denials, he was convicted in 2012 on 13 of 14 counts, including fraud and obstruction. He was sentenced to 110 years in prison. By 2008, Stanford was taking approximately $1 million per day from investors to fund his lavish lifestyle. Throughout nearly 2 decades, TD continued to do business with Stanford, even as red flags and warnings surfaced. They claimed to have no knowledge of his fraudulent activities and denied being reckless or willfully blind. However, many believe TD should have been more diligent and cautious in their dealings with Stanford. People like Kathleen Muir, who trusted Stanford with their retirement savings, were left devastated. Kathleen lost a significant portion of her savings and remains angry at Stanford for his lies and the lives he ruined. Allen Stanford's story is a cautionary tale of greed, deception, and the devastating impact of financial fraud. His charming facade and connections with reputable institutions allowed him to maintain his scheme for years, ultimately causing immense financial and emotional harm to countless investors.